Hi and welcome to Inside Line. This week we're looking at the latest anomaly with P-plate regulations and new mobile phone technology that knows when you're driving. First up though is the latest in eco-friendly motoring. Now Richard, you've just driven a Mercedes that runs purely on hydrogen.
I have. It's a really interesting experience. I guess the thing that struck me most was just how normal it was to drive. You know, there's nothing inside, there's no big battery packs or anything like that. It's just a normal car that doesn't make much noise when you put the accelerator down.
Presumably it's like an electric car, yeah?
It is, except it felt a lot more lively than an electric car. It seemed to have a lot more acceleration off the mark, and yeah, I mean it's a really interesting proposition. Not viable at the moment because there aren't any fueling stations, but who knows? A couple of years down the track, we might be driving them.
And they're also supposed to be pretty expensive, yeah?
Yeah, they say that they can bring this car in about 2015 at a price that's a small premium over a hybrid diesel. So.
Well, I guess, you know, people are paying a little bit extra for hybrids, although their sales aren't brilliant. But having said that, I drove one this week, the Lexus CT200H, which could be a little bit of a game changer. It's starting from $40,000, so the same price as a Prius, but it's got a Lexus badge, more equipment, and it drives better than a Prius.
Yeah, I think it's going to signal some more problems for Prius, because I can't see how you would choose a Toyota badge over a Lexus that cost the same amount of money and had the same engine underneath.
Absolutely, which is, I guess, why they're talking of repositioning the Prius.
They have to. I think you know, they've got Camry putting pressure on at the budget end, and then now they've got you know, something with a Lexus badge that's basically, you know, a very similar car.
Now, how do you think it's going to go against the predominantly German competition, a lot of which is available with diesel engines?
Yeah, well, it'll come down to drivability. Obviously, you know, you've got these diesel engines in the Beamers and the Audis that are very good and very drivable around town and pretty efficient. So I guess it's a case of what the thing feels like to drive is going to be the killer.
Although Lexus argues that, of course, the hybrid is actually cleaner than the diesel because it hasn't got all the noxious emissions.
Well, that's true, but it's also true that they sell a hell of a lot of diesel cars.
Yeah, through Toyota. Now, still on technology, and US telco Sprint is planning on releasing software it says knows when the phone's owner is driving the car and dumbs down its functionality, meaning you physically can't text or receive calls. Now, Richard, I'm not convinced this idea is going to take off because it's optional and it costs an extra $2 a month.
Yeah, I think it's the type of thing that needs to be legislated. I don't think anyone's going to choose to pay extra to you know, make themselves safer on the road.
With the exception perhaps of parents.
Yeah, I mean, they do mention in this that you might be able to adjust your child's phone so that when they're in the car, they're not allowed to take and receive phone calls. But I guess there are other distractions for young drivers when they're in the car. So
indeed. Well, the other thing that'll be interesting is, you know, can this technology determine when you're a passenger and when you're a driver?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know how it can. You know, there's got to be some sort of interaction between the car and the driver to let them know, and then, you know, I mean, there's got to be a way to sidestep it as well.
Defeats the purpose if it doesn't, I guess.
Exactly.
Now, finally this week is the latest fiasco involving the ludicrous P-plate driver restrictions, which vary from state to state. Now, Richard, any way you look at these regulations, they are just simply not keeping pace with technology.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got all these manufacturers with turbocharged cars, but the turbocharger isn't to make them some sort of road rocket. It's just to improve the fuel efficiency of the car. But the government can't seem to get its head around that simple concept that not every turbo is a rocket and not every naturally aspirated car is slow. I mean, we've got there are Toyota Orions that would blow a lot of the turbo cars to the weeds, but they're okay to drive, but these aren't.
Yeah, and in Victoria, for example, a Land Cruiser isn't accessible to a P-plater because it's got a V8 engine, yet you wouldn't call that a high-performance car.
No, absolutely not. And of course, Tesla. You know, an electric car slips through the net. You know, it's as quick as a Ferrari, but it's okay for P-platers to drive.
Yeah, 0 to 100 in 3.7 seconds. Yeah. So, wow, go and get it, P-platers.
That's right.
Well, that's it for Inside Line this week. Until next time, you can keep up to date with all things motoring here at Drive.com.au. Catch you next week.